All right, there you go. Mississippi Outdoors Radio on the air for you again, as always, brought to you by the Foundation for Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks. As we work our way here through a Monday, each and every Monday at noontime, we're glad to have Adam Butler here with us, a wildlife biologist with the Bureau, who joins us. And I appreciate you coming in today.
Glad to be here, JT.
And Major Chris Reed is here with us with law enforcement. It's just me and you and him.
Just us.
Three musketeers here
today. We
today.
can handle it, though. I think it's going to be fun.
We can definitely do something in this hour.
We'll be just fine. In fact, we're going to talk about scary stuff that's outdoors.
Halloween.
Yeah, if there is such a thing. And we'll do that coming up in the next segment. But first, tell me what's going on. I think you've got a lot of things that are happening. I think something going live today.
Yeah, busy time of year, JT. You know, we all our wildlife staff are just booking it right now. I know all of our folks in the WMA system are out, you know, getting plots ready, getting WMAs ready for hunters and everything. I know the law enforcement guys are busy, already getting a lot of complaints.
Yeah,
you know. We're not even to the deer firearm season yet. I got a little story that pertains to law enforcement. So JT, you know, we're having to get 10,000.
Don't keep us waiting.
10,000 CWD samples statewide, and that includes roadkill samples. So a lot of us are collecting those when we see them. I pulled over to pull such a sample the other day, and it looked like the deer had actually been shot by a headlighter. I thought it was a roadkill, but no.
Really?
Yeah, there are. I mean,
was it a main highway?
Kind of a side county road, but
really?
I mean, very clearly the deer had been shot. So
well, they're there. We've already been making the first. A few weeks ago, the moon was full, and it was about the time the first little cool front rolled in. And I thought to myself, over the weekend, we'll catch some headlighters across the state this weekend.
I got one for you back on October 24th. After fleeing multiple law enforcement agencies in Mississippi and Alabama, 3 Wayne County men have been arrested, charged with attempted murder, reckless endangerment, attempting to evade, while a third man was arrested with misdemeanor charges for hunting deer with headlights.
Yeah, we very fortunate that nobody was hurt in that deal, and that initiated with one of our guys.
Yeah, I know.
Down there, Wayne County area, and so you know people. We get the question many times, and everybody doesn't hunt and fish, but I've gotten the question so many times I can't count it, you know, going to a restaurant or something to eat, and the person looks at me and goes, "What do you do?" And that's neither a good thing nor a bad thing. Somebody doesn't hunt. They don't necessarily know, but just that instance right there where you're out just working, cold weather rolls in, full moon's out, people are looking to shoot a deer off the road, which is, you know, a cop-out.
It's coward.
And you hit the blue lights, and you don't have a clue what's in that vehicle, the people, or what they've done, or what their intent to do is.
Or what they're on.
Right. What they've been smoking or huffing or drinking or whatever. And they take off running, and they wreck out over in Alabama, and they shot. I mean, that's nuts. It's insane. But we're fortunate that nobody. But that's the kind of stuff we deal with out in the middle of nowhere. Generally, me by myself, or you by yourself working, and whoever's going to get there to you is 20, 30 minutes away. It's not a.
I feel for you guys, man. I really do, and I feel for you guys. And unfortunately, it's nothing new. This has been going on for a long time.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you guys with a badge are never going to run out of work.
Right.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that is the case, and you know, you need to tell people. I know it's probably even more challenging now with hog hunting that's allowed at night as well. I know that probably makes a little bit of difference. Y'all know the difference between hog hunting and different things like that. And let's be honest, when we talk about hog hunting at night, everybody acts like that's something easy to do. It's very, very difficult to do.
Yeah, they don't just turn into a completely different animal once the sun goes down and become idiots. They are still. Yeah, so,
probably the smartest mammal in the woods.
Yeah, they're tough.
All right, we've got so we're you're literally looking for 10,000, huh?
10,000, yes, sir. That is the goal. I can't. Last year, do you remember offhand how many we ended up with?
It was like 7,500.
Yeah, right under 8,000. I think is what we had last year. I don't remember
a couple thousand more than we projected.
Yeah, I know
or wanted to get.
We were sort of shooting for 5 to 6, and we ended up with closer to 8. This year we're looking to get 10,000 samples statewide, and one way hunters can help us do that is voluntarily dropping off, their harvest at our 36 check stations around the state. We talked about that a good bit, JT, and we listened to hunters last year. I think we had 11 last year, 10, 7. I don't remember. However many we had last year, we have about 3 or 4 times that number this year. I think
you're talking about drop-offs?
Yeah, the drop-off locations.
There's a lot more.
Yeah, there's 36 locations. So pretty much anyone anywhere in the state should be within a
Fair
20 or so
driving
minute
distance,
drive of a CWD drop-off if you don't have one in your own town. So we're encouraging hunters to bring those. It's an easy process. If you harvest a deer, we just need the head with a little bit of the neck where we can pull the CWD sample. If you take it to the drop-off location, there will be a freezer. There will be instructions explaining what to do. There will be a little data card that you fill out. Put your sample in the bag, zip tie it with the card, and if it happens to be CWD positive, you will absolutely receive a phone call from us. If not, you can go on our website and check. You'll have a number that's unique to your sample. You can go on the website and check to make sure you're all clear. But again, if you're not clear, we will definitely call you.
And just again to reemphasize, we're not the only state that has it. There's plenty of successful deer hunting states, and we're still killing huge deer in our state. You've seen some hit the dirt already this year. But we've seen a drop in license sales, and we don't know if that's completely due to the fact of people nervous or apprehensive about deer hunting.
Mm-hmm.
But it's to be expected.
But,
I mean, most
right,
other states,
and that's common.
Yeah, most other states when they find CWD,
The initial
they
first
see
few
an
years,
initial couple
yeah.
of years license sales drop, and usually it rebounds back when people realize, okay, this is not as scary as we thought.
Yeah.
We can deal with this. Life's going to go on.
I mean, the places that I've deer hunted, you hadn't really. It's the same. I mean, it's something that we really need to take serious. But the deer are still there, and it's still healthy, and they're still.
Sure. But as far as intro stuff, JT, that is something we want to encourage folks to do, and we're going to probably continue to hit it, all winter long. Help us with those samples. We don't, as an agency, we don't want to be in the business of having to go.
Well, we'd have never got there last
collect
year.
Samples. We want these to be brought to us by
Well,
hunters.
I think people are going to do it. I think that showed last year, and now that you've got even more drop-off points, I feel like you're going to have some more. Got a call here. Douglas is in Pickens, wants to talk to us. Douglas, how are you?
Hey there. Yes. How are you doing today?
Good.
Yeah, I was calling him. I didn't know if he might be able to mention anything about EHD. In the past week, in one of our ponds, we found 2 separate deer that we found out floating. And I called and reported them, but I just didn't know if it would be a possibility for, if there's more deer in the area or if anything can be done about
Is he
it.
talking about blue tongue?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, Douglas. So that
those-
EHD is, most people commonly call that blue tongue disease, and it's a disease that's always going to be present in a deer herd. In the deep south, states like Mississippi, we pretty much get every strain of EHD out there, which on the one hand means our deer are a little bit more acclimated to it. We're going to kind of have a little bit higher, more chronic level of EHD than other states to our north, which is actually kind of a good thing because we rarely see the big die-offs that a lot of Midwestern or northern states see.
Is Douglas still on the line?
Yep.
Douglas, was that?
Yeah.
Were those deer
Yeah.
along a road? Or,
No, it's we've got 33 acres, and it was a lake back,
Okay.
well off the road.
So we have been getting a number of reports of deer that are sick with blue tongue disease. This usually it's a disease of kind of late summer, early fall. For whatever reason, we seem like we're getting it a little bit later than normal this year. But I think we're probably having a little bit of a flare up. But again, not a huge worry. It's something that is going to be always present in our deer herd. Almost never in the deep south do you see the significant die-offs due to blue tongue that northern states. In northern states, it's not uncommon to have a really bad outbreak and maybe 20% of the deer herd go down, or sometimes even a little more than that. That's almost never going to happen here in Mississippi. We're always going to have a much smaller prevalence of it. Deer can get over it. It's not a given that they're going to die. But in a lot of cases, when they get sick, they do like those that you found, and they go to water. So that's a good indication of that deer was probably sick with blue tongue. Whereas if it's CWD, they're going to be wandering around aimlessly, kind of acting a little crazy. So.
All right, man. Hey, I appreciate you calling today, Douglas. Thank you very much. We're going to get into scary stuff outdoors. Kind of is it true? Is it not true? Is it something you really should be scared of? I think you'll enjoy it. We'll do that when we come back. We are here and ready to go. Jeff in Boonville says, what's the timeline for the CWD zones? Are they permanent? What's the long-term plan? Good question.
That is a good question, and right now I don't have a good answer, to be honest with you. I think we're kind of in the monitoring stage. Keep in mind we've not had this disease for very long, so we're still sort of monitoring, trying to figure out exactly where it's at. And that's, we were talking about the 10,000 samples before the break. That's what that's all about. We're trying to find where it is and find where the prevalence is. And I think, as time goes on, we continue to nail down, where it is and where it isn't. That will lead to conversations about the zones and what the future of those zones is.
But this is only the second deer season
that's right,
that we've been a CWD positive state. So initially there aren't discussions right now of removing anything right now. But I mean, it's always a fluid situation.
I can't tell you that those zones will be in place forever, but I can't tell you they won't be in place forever either.
Right.
Yeah. We don't know yet.
C-Spire text on y'all suggest to freeze the meat until the testing is done. That's what a lot of people are doing. And
right.
How do you complete a sample if you plan to mount the deer? It's a good question.
That is.
Well, actually, if you do, you take it to a taxidermist and let them know. We're working with a number of taxidermists around the state, so they can, when they're done caping the deer out for the mount, we don't have to have that part of it. They give us back what's left, and we can get the sample from that. So.
Yeah, because and
I'm trying to be cognizant of our listeners and not be too graphic, JT. But
I'll tell them the truth. The only thing they use is the hide off the deer,
right? And the cap of the skull plate between the ears.
Yeah. And
so that's no big deal. If you want to get it mounted, take it to the taxidermist and just let them know, or get in touch with us and let us know. We can work it out. Yeah, we're already working with taxidermists.
We want to, still want that sample.
Yeah.
All right, scary stuff outdoors. In this segment, we're going to talk about some things found outdoors that people oftentimes think are scary. If you're listening and you have something in Mississippi's Great Outdoors that scares you, feel free to call and text us about it. Of course, we've all heard about this. People talk about from being out in the woods, and one thing that always comes to mind, I hate to even say it, Black Panthers.
Yeah, there goes
Seems
the text
like
line.
Everyone has a Black Panther story or knows someone who does, and the truth about Black Panthers. And the truth is that as much as we'd love to have proof of one, there's no proof of one here in Mississippi, is it, Adam?
No proof of one anywhere, JT. And that's going to probably light up the text line.
Anywhere?
Anywhere.
Like in the world?
Well, so
the United
here's
States,
the deal
or
with
the
that.
state.
Here's the deal with that. That Mississippi used to be home to the Florida Panther. So you got, you got the mountain lion, the cougar.
Yep.
All found throughout North America. We used to have those. We used to have the Florida.
And there's some of those in Louisiana. Now.
There's yes. So we'll get to that in a second. There have been some documented
I just get
mountain
excited
lions.
when talking about Black Panthers.
There have been some documented mountain lion sightings not far from Mississippi here recently, and so there's reason to think it's not crazy that we could have a mountain lion here, but mountain lions don't come in a black color phase. Doesn't happen. So when you see a big black cat like in a zoo or something, that's going to be a jaguar from South America. They do come black. I can't think of the percentages. It's a fairly high percentage of them will come out black. Maybe 1 in 10.
They have the long tails and all that good stuff.
So they sort of look like a cougar.
So all those pictures are photoshopped.
Well, it's just
a black jaguar. Huh?
Yeah, it's just a jaguar from South America. So if you saw a big black cat in the woods and you think it was, I guess technically a South American jaguar could have wandered he could have wandered that far.
Or he swam.
But so we used to have Florida Panthers. They're still there. If you go down into South Central Florida, there's pretty good many of them there.
That would tackle you and wrestle you right now.
I know.
Because they were running and one jumped up out of the woods and stood there and looked at them.
It happens.
And they looked at it, and it was like a Hallmark movie.
It was a Black Panther. I swear it was.
The headlights
Was
going
it?
down the road, and the lab
Right.
runs off, and it happens.
What was
Listen,
that?
Yeah.
Here's the thing that I think more than anything when we talk about this, and I don't want to expand too long on this because we could go forever. God rest his soul, Paul. I'd had like a $10,000 bounty on one forever and ever and ever.
And then nobody ever claimed
could
it.
ever claim it,
Yeah.
But if it were such a thing, Richard Rummel would have been. He'd have been the first one.
Oh, yeah,
I
we-
can remember
we-
interviewing him over the years. He's like, I would love nothing
Right.
more
Bring it in.
for somebody to bring in evidence of a Black Panther so it would shut people up.
Yeah.
But it's just not there.
It's not. But like I said, JT, mountain lions, there's a big population of mountain lions, out west. You got some in Texas. You've got some, all the Rockies. You've got some in South Dakota in the Black Hills, and there's some in Florida. And all of those populations are expanding. And it's kind of crazy. Like that, one got hit in Connecticut on the highway a couple years ago, and they actually traced it back to South Dakota. That cat had traveled all the way from South Dakota to, it was either Connecticut or Massachusetts, way over on the eastern seaboard. So it's not outside of the realm of possibility that one of those from one of those western populations, particularly like a young male, might disperse out and go that far. So we could have a cougar here in Mississippi. It's not too crazy, but a black one, probably not.
Someone said I saw doe urine in the store. I thought that was not legal to be used this year. They made an adjustment on that, didn't they, Reed?
Yeah, it's if it's approved by ATA, Archery Trade Association, you can use it or synthetic.
Okay. That was kind of something they went back on and revisited. The commission went
That's
back
correct.
and kind of
They did a lot of homework and a lot of
relicked that calf a little
digging
bit.
on that. Yeah.
All right, what about bears? I know they scare people, right? I mean, think about it. There's bears out in the woods, and one of them's going to attack me.
We hear that a lot. We get a lot of bear calls, and again, if it were grizzlies, that's a little bit different. But we have black bears here.
Right.
No grizzlies. And I asked before we came over. I said, talking to Richard Rummel, I said, give me some statistics about black bear attacks. So here's something to think about. If you're scared of bears, here's something to think about. Black bears now. Statistically, there are more fatalities in the U.S. every year from domestic dogs, bees, and lightning than black bears.
Come on.
So not really something to be afraid of. They're kind of they're like a big raccoon. I mean, yeah, they might get into your garbage, but not something to be afraid of. If we were out west, grizzlies, a little different. They cause some trouble out west.
What about like a mama bear and a cub? That might want to bring an antenna up, huh?
Well, yeah, obviously use common sense, but again, just the numbers as they bear out, it almost never happens that a
pun
black
intended.
bear is going to maul or kill someone.
Right.
So, our black bear population in Mississippi is growing. If you hunt along the Mississippi River today,
Yep.
if you're in one of those
Yep.
river clubs,
They're
chances are you probably have a bear on your property.
South Delta.
South Delta, Southwest Mississippi,
Now, if you're
Wilkinson, Adams
putting out
County.
a lot of feed,
They're gonna
bait
get
on
into
the
it.
ground, and they become accustomed to that. We've had some instances where people shot some bears, and then to do a little digging, and there's a big illegal bait site on the ground, and that bear had become accustomed to that. That's just like feeding an alligator.
So I would say that is something scary. You don't want to make that mistake.
right.
So if you are hunting in an area where black bears may be and hogs may also be very, very sure of your target
With
in
any
low light
animal,
situations.
when you start walking up on his food tray, is going to become a little aggressive.
Well, I'm talking more about making the mistake of, I thought it was a hog and it turned out to be a bear. That's not a mistake you
That
want to
could
make.
get you a nice little ticket.
That's a scary mistake to make. Yeah.
You cannot shoot black bears in Mississippi. They are
That's correct.
endangered.
Now, one day, maybe, JT. Maybe, one day we may get there where we have a limited bear season, but we're not there yet. Louisiana, I think, starting to have some conversations about that, but I think they're still a couple of years away from it. And their bear population's pretty good ways ahead of ours. So right now, we got a lot of them, or a growing number along the Mississippi River. Southeast Mississippi has quite a few.
What about snakes? That's something we should be scared of, right?
Listen, Look,
There's a lot of people that are scared of snakes.
I turkey hunt with a guy that is absolutely terrified of snakes, and like I'm all the time, picking on him about it.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many of them. How do you know which ones are bad and which ones are not bad?
Well, here in Mississippi, we only got 6 species that are venomous. So we've got about 55 or so total species of snake, only 6 of which are actually going to cause you any harm or are they to bite you. So you've got, a couple of species of rattlesnake, copperhead, cottonmouth, coral snake. So chances are, if you see a snake, it's probably not venomous just based on the numbers. And if you're really worried, get some snake boots. I mean, nowadays some of those snake boots are comfortable, lightweight, no reason not to wear them.
All right. We were kind of tongue-in-cheek about scary stuff in the woods, but when we come back, we want to talk about stuff you should really be scared of in the woods. Right. We were kind of tongue-in-cheek talking about scary stuff in the woods, and but what we do is really want to talk about stuff that you should be not necessarily scared of, but make sure yourself aware of, and this could be turning into something scary, right, Adam?
Yeah. I mean, the scariest thing that could happen to you while you're hunting or while you're deer hunting, falling from your tree stand, and that's something probably a lot of people don't think about, but it is legitimately scary. JT, my wife, works at UMC in the orthopedic operating room, and apparently when you fall from a deer stand, more often than not, you're going to break your ankle in a certain way, and she tells me like every year they start seeing that particular ankle break show up. She knows, it must be deer stand. Must be deer season. People are falling from their deer stand.
Yeah.
So
that's and it's preventable.
Absolutely preventable. We'll get to that, but get this. Last year in Mississippi, there were our department investigated 11 different tree stand accidents, 2 of which were fatal. So 2 of 11 tree stand accidents fatal. So if you look at statistics nationally, annually about 5,400 families are affected by someone who falls from a tree stand. So you may not necessarily die, but you're going to be incapacitated for some period of time, maybe not able to walk. You're it's a stressful thing to go through. You may not be able to work, may not be able to, not something you want to have to do. But on average, about 10% of all tree stand falls are fatal every year. On average, the average fall is from about 17 feet. Another interesting statistic, lock-on stands are by far the most common source of falls, followed by climbing stands. And most stands happen when people kind of lose their grip or their balance while in the stand, not climbing or coming down or up. It's usually you're actually on the platform and some reason you slip and lose your balance, and there you go. But like you said, Reed, totally preventable.
Yeah, and you want a harness and a lifeline. So 89% of fall victims were not wearing a harness, and 99% of fall victims were not wearing a lifeline. So if you just have a line that you attach to before you ever leave the ground, that pretty much saves any takes away any risk you might have of falling from a tree. Also, make sure you check your harness. They have an expiration date on them, and they do need to be
check
replaced.
Your stand. I fell out of a stand a few years back.
I did not know that.
Yep.
Well, tell us about it.
I didn't have a harness attached to the tree. I had it on, and there was not a lifeline.
How far did you fall?
About 17 foot. Yeah.
Did you end up in UMC's emergency room?
No, I was so fortunate and blessed. I landed. The tree was actually at the bottom of like a ridge, I guess, on the side of a hill.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I fell, I climbed in the stand and hunted and attached my safety harness to the tree and hunted unattached. Had some rattling antlers, threw those down. Had my bow across one of those bow slings on the side of my backpack on. And when I stepped down onto the ladder, and all my weight got on that ladder going down, that stand had been there for a few years and had not been adjusted or checked. The straps hadn't been loosened any, and that tree had grown into it. And when my weight, with all the clothes and the boots and all that stuff, fully got on that stand going down, it felt as if it feels when you take a wire coat hanger and you bend it back and forth a bunch of times, and all of a sudden it gets to that point where it just breaks. That's what that stick ladder felt like. And I thought, this isn't good. And I fell ever so gracefully to the side of that hill and hit the ground with a wallop and was lucky enough to get up and walk away. And
So nothing major then.
Yeah, I've heard of people.
a headache
Man.
and a little iffiness now. Like, so then I bought some lifelines, and
Yeah, I was
You
going to
can make
ask.
one.
Yeah, I was going to ask, did it change the way you hunt? Did it change the way
yeah,
you,
I like
you
ground
look at it?
blinds.
Well, it can happen to anybody. You know, a lot of our listeners.
You're like me now, Reed, aren't you?
Yeah,
a
bro.
lot of
I
our
don't climb
listeners
trees.
may be familiar with Dr. Craig Harper at University of Tennessee. He's big with Quality Deer Management Association, a lot of really great stuff on food plots. So if you're into managing deer, you probably may have heard of Dr. Harper. You know, he had a really terrible fall from a deer stand probably 3 years ago or so, and it messed him up good for a number of months. So it can happen to anybody.
Something you should be scared of, folks. And as I said, you know, I particularly don't climb trees. I'll get up in a box stand if there's steps up to it.
Right.
I don't even like to climb up into those with ladders either, because those are dangerous. But if there's steps and a handrail and different things like that, it's a little bit different. Another thing you really should be concerned about when you go into the outdoors, firearm accidents, folks. 7 firearm accidents last year. 1 was fatal. And that's all of those are just too many because it's so preventable.
Yeah, absolutely, JT. I mean, if you're going to be hunting, you know, step number 1 is learn firearm safety. You know, whether you're a parent teaching a child or someone, you know, however it is. I mean, that's the building blocks of being an ethical hunter is understanding firearm safety. So
And a lot
no
of this stuff
excuse
is,
for it.
I don't know if you mentioned it, a lot of them are self-inflicted.
Yeah, that's the surprising thing, JT. You think about, you know, getting shot by another hunter. Actually, most hunting firearm accidents are self-inflicted, which again,
where you-
Well, why would
that's on you.
Why would somebody chamber around before they're ready to hunt?
Well, I think a lot of it even goes back to just kind of carelessness, where you forget to unload the weapon and you go to stick it in the vehicle by holding the gun barrel, and you
I've heard. Yeah, you
and
hear
you
of that.
lay it on
You-
the seat and it goes off, and the bullet. I mean, a 300 that goes down your arm when you're holding the barrel is going to tear you up.
Yeah.
Or you put the gun and you rest it on your foot with the barrel on your foot. There's just some of that stuff is just a little careless, and can be prevented if you just are a little mindful.
Right.
Another instance I've experienced when working was the wrong ammunition in a rifle. You know, this guy came out from hunting one night, and I thought he'd gotten in a fight. It was like a Saturday afternoon. I figured he got in a fight the Friday night before at the local juke joint.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a busted eye and just looked terrible. I said, "Man, what happened to you?" He goes, "I just shot at a deer." I was like, "What?" And he had loaded the wrong rifle round, and it blew back in his face when he had pulled the trigger. He got lucky. You know, it could have been a lot worse. But a lot of the stuff is the common theme is
Right.
just taking a few more seconds and being extra careful.
Right. So obviously we're all proponents of the Second Amendment here, but with that comes a responsibility. With that right comes a
Right.
responsibility, and that responsibility is to know your firearm,
Every-
know your target,
Every
use
gun
common
is
sense.
loaded. Every
Right.
gun is loaded.
Right.
Every gun is loaded. Every gun is loaded.
And we're Hunter Orange. I mean, not only is it a law, it just makes sense to do that. So
Deer
other
hunters
people
make
are
up
aware.
3/4 of those involved in firearm accidents.
That's
Wow.
correct.
Yeah.
Wow. Didn't realize that. Everything is preventable, folks, though, and firearm accidents were much more common in the old days, which was why hunter education became about. And, of course, that has made things a lot more preventable as well. Hey, also, you've got chronic wasting disease. Not something you really should be scared about, but something you need to stay informed about, right?
Right. We talk about it a lot. We talked about it a lot last year, JT. So not scary in the way of the last two where it's life threatening, but you know it is something we have to keep an eye on. You know, we've got it now, and we're going to live with it. And we're going to learn how to manage that disease and still have good quality deer hunting, no matter what. But you know, if you look at some of the states that have had it a while, you can see some trends that are a little bit alarming. So it's not something to take lightly.
No doubt about it. Look, and here's what I tell people all the time. Go have your deer tested. There's a reason why they want to know. It's for the state of Mississippi. It's for your peace of mind. And then everything will be fine. And you'll know for sure what's going on with the deer and whether you've got something you need to deal with or not. And that gives you the opportunity to deal with it. As Chris said earlier, folks, this has been going on for a long time, okay? These have been going on in states for a long time. and their states have been living with CWD for even longer than us. And things are this is something we're going to work through. Hopefully, it doesn't become something that is rampant here in the state of Mississippi. Hopefully, it stays isolated, and hopefully, we'll be able to continue with that. We're going to talk about Mississippi Outdoors TV coming up. Got a special treat, don't you?
Yeah, this is going to be a really cool episode this week. So this is going to have 3 different segments this week. JT, the first of which is going to be a deer hunt for wounded warriors in Copiah County. Really cool that they were able to capture that for the television show. You're going to have hunters. All the hunters will be veterans, of course, but the ranges will be from World War II veterans all the way up to veterans of our present conflicts in the Middle East.
Talk about some campfire stories.
That's awesome.
So I'm assuming if you're a veteran of World War II, you have to be probably 90 plus. I doubt there's any younger than that. So pretty cool that they were able to do that. Great event, and then obviously I'm sure some of the stories are going to be like
and
say outstanding.
They're pretty successful on those hunts too.
Yeah, I think so. I have not.
You're not
seen
dealing
this
with
one,
most of those folks know how to handle a weapon.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. In the second segment, it's going to be a focus on the Mississippi Shooting Sports Program, where schools from all across the state compete in trap and skeet shooting competitions. The program is sponsored by the Foundation for Mississippi Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks, and it's really taken off. So it's kind of a follow-up to the Ames program. So the Archery in Schools program, which I'm not sure how long that's been going now, 6, 8, 10, maybe 10 years, maybe.
Yeah.
Sure. But been hugely successful. We've had those folks on the show, and the number of kids that go through the Ames thing is incredible every year. Now we've got shotgun competitions likewise. So that's a new program, but it's growing.
It's really taken off.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, so that's going to be really cool to highlight. And then the third segment on the show will be about hog population control efforts implemented by the department and other partners. And it's going to have some cool stuff. Going to have infrared hog shooting at night, helicopter control with the Department of Agriculture, daytime, nighttime footage, and it'll even highlight some of the new automated gate drop technology that we have to control hog populations. So a little bit of everything in this episode this week.
Chip, our loyal assistant to the radio show, has some experience with the gate trap, hog trap drop thing.
Oh, yeah?
You can remotely set that thing off, JT, just via your computer screen. You just hit a button.
Oh, yeah.
And so Chip was there one day, and he said, "What does this button do?" And he hit it, and the trap door dropped. There weren't any hogs in there. He's just playing with it. And so Ballard, the hog man, said, "Do you know what you just did?" He goes, "Yeah, it looks like I just dropped the gate." He said, "Do you know where that trap is located?" He had to drive, Ballard had to leave and drive like an hour and a half.
Well, I didn't know what I did.
Yeah, to reset the trap.
I was trying to save the video.
Chip was trying to get some TV out of the deal.
That's pretty funny right there.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny. Is the senior exempt license renewable every year?
You can buy one every year, yes.
Yeah, the $5, and it helps because it'll get counted too.
Yeah, you don't have to, but it is. You can if you wish.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing coming up that kind of goes back to the first segment on the hunt show, the veterans deal. We got the new veterans waterfowl hunting opportunity this year, where youth waterfowl hunts used to be exclusive to the youth. This year, Senator Hyde Smith incorporated veterans and active duty military personnel can also take part in those days. So that'll be a good.
Yeah, so that's November the 16th, I believe. Isn't that what we said? Yep, that weekend, November the 16th, and then it'll be a one at the end of the season too.
Saturday in February.
Yeah, it's a couple weeks out from that, but cool new opportunity for those
be here in a few
who have
weeks.
served.
Yeah.
Yep.
No doubt about that. So they've got some great things that are coming up here, and of course, as we get to the end of it, it's already come to the end of the show here, and I appreciate y'all being here. Being here with us today is always brought to you by the Foundation for Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks. And folks, be careful out in the woods. That was what we were trying to stress today. Having a little fun earlier, talking about black panthers and things like that. But make your trip a safe one. Let people know where you're going, when you're going, and also keep your phone with you, things like that. You've got your app, your GPS, and different things like that that can help you throughout the day. Major Reed, thank you for being here with us today. As always, Adam Butler, what are you going to be for Halloween?
JT,
He's going to be me.
Oh, he's going
I'm
to-
going to loan him my uniform.
I'm
and
not
we're
thought
gonna
about it.
dress
My,
up.
my kids have they've
He's just
changed
gotta
their
get his
mind 2 or
mohawk
3
right.
times.
He's got to get his mohawk right.
That's it.
Man, this hairdo is really it's got me all balanced. I don't know.
All right, guys. Thank you for being here today. I appreciate it very much.